Oh, my
before we
bad.
get going and start giving
Okay.
out these free money plays,
Yeah. Talk to
you
him.
gotta definitely hit that subscribe button. You
Mm.
gotta definitely hit that like button. And you gotta definitely hit that bell so you can get that reminder, so you can get that cash week in and week out. He showed you the stats. There are no lies behind it. We give the
None.
receipts. Follow us. We know what we're talking about. But you can't do that without giving us a little bit of respect by hitting that like, subscribe, and that bell. So please do it from the bottom of my heart,
It's
so we can
crazy,
keep it
man.
going. So we can keep it going. That's all we want to do is
Thousands
keep
of
it going.
people. Thousands
All
of
right.
people see this
We
motherfucking
see
thing,
you
man.
watching us. Don't
We
watch
see
from the
you.
far. Come
Yeah,
in. Come in.
for sure. Big fact. Well, let's talk about it. Sunday night football. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Miami Dolphins. Eagles are favorite -2.5. Total is 51.5. Money line is -142. Everybody's all over the place with this game. Diddy, I know you're on the other side of this, not in terms of betting, but just on the other side of how you look at this game. Talk to us and how. I'm gonna do a curveball for you. How do the Eagles win this game?
Uh, you know what, Sharp? Do me a favor. You can take this.
All right, Sharp.
Um,
I'll switch it for you, Sharp, because you're on the Eagles heavy. How do Miami Dolphins win this game?
well, I think the Dolphins. It probably starts. This is going to sound crazy. I know everyone will be talking about Lane Johnson, but I think it actually starts with Bradley Roby. I think we had really trouble covering the slot, especially in the first half of the Rams game
Hmm.
since Avonte Maddox has been out, and then in the second half they started trusting Bradley Roby. He's a veteran. He played really well in that second half in a 4-by-3 look. You kind of call it a box defense, and that's kind of how they slowed down Cooper Kupp. And he was the guy that was reading the traffic and making sure he wasn't getting picked. Our young corners, that was happening to them. Well, we cut Josiah Scott for a reason to start the year. Now he is back with the team. They have since released Mario Goodrich, and they have replaced him with Josiah Scott, who does know the defense. So, but my fear is that if Bradley Roby can't play, Josiah Scott is not Bradley Roby. Is he smarter than Mario Goodrich and Eli Ricks at this point in his career? Yes. But if he's having trouble figuring out his, because the thing about Miami, it's very similar to Sean McVay's offense. They do a lot of motion pre-snap, and it changes the rules. They go from 3-by-1 to 2-by-2, and if you're in a zone look, and especially the nickel defender, you have to know all your keys, and you can't blow assignments. And I do have a fear that if it's Josiah Scott, we could be in trouble in the slot.
All right, Diddy, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about
Um,
that.
no, you're good. You're good. Um, Tell me how the Birds will win this game. You were talking about running the ball.
Yeah, I think that they get back to their identity. Obviously, we know that Miami has an electrifying offense. They're the number one offense in the NFL, averaging close to over 500 yards per game. Um, yeah, I mean, probably three or the four of the fastest players in the NFL in that offense. But to kind of Sharp's point, as we talked in the background, the Dolphins' defense isn't really that solid, so we should be able to move the ball, and hopefully, we can find a way to get that ball in the end zone. I know that we can pass the ball within the 20s and the 20s, but when we get to the red zone, ultimately our red zone offense has been sucky unless we're doing a tush push getting into the end zone for a touchdown that way. So I think the best way we can do is control the ball, right? Limit the opportunity for Miami to stay on the field, give our defense that's been in and out as far as injury wise as much time as they need because those D backs will need it if we're not getting a rush on Tua this week. So the best way to do is play small ball, control the ball, limit the turnovers. Obviously, we know turnovers is what killed us last week, on top of other things, but that was one of the main factors. Limit the turnovers, cannot give the Dolphins second chances, and most importantly, score the football when we have the opportunity. Please don't come in this game thinking you have to chase points because we're playing the Miami Dolphins. Just play your game. when you chase points, we've seen it with a lot of teams, especially over these last few years. It sometimes come back and bites them in the ass. So just be who you are, get what you can get, trust your players, and let's figure it out. But like you said, I think a lot of guys are on, or a lot of the sharp guys are on the Philadelphia Eagles here. This is not a
Yeah.
play for me. I'm not touching this game. I'm just not touching it. But I'm rooting for everybody. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan. I root for the Eagles to make it happen.
Yeah, I do actually have a play in this game. Um, so I am actually going with a player prop that dropped. Um, I think with it's not even on this side. It's actually on DraftKings side. Let me switch this so we can just see it. I think that with the the corner, Slade coming back, not saying that he'll be able to, you know, hold Tyreek down, but I do think he'll be able to at least slow him down. He's obviously one of the better man corners. But I think who's been having the real issue this year, or just been getting the spotlight put on him even more, is Bradbury, and he's struggled. So I like Waddle here to have a good day. I like Waddle over 60 and a half. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. I think he's more like a 70, 80 yard guy. I mean, we saw what Overlay did uh, last game. And that's just him with Zach Wilson. Now you got MVP candidate with Tua throwing the ball, and then you got Hill, Mostart, and other weapons to worry about, and you kind of
Yeah.
have to leave Waddle 1-on-1 with Bradbury. And I think he might cook him a little bit this game. So give me Jalen Waddle over 60 and a half um, yards, and that is actually going to be a little bit more. I'm going to do that as a 1.5 unit play.
I think what might make a there might be an impact in this game. Like I said, the weather on the East Coast is going to be a little crazy, so that might be a slow down the Miami Dolphins also on them running to throw the ball really, really deep. Especially in our stadium, which is open and one side of the field. So the wind will be howling in that stadium. So that's an opportunity there too for the Philadelphia Eagles to take advantage of.
I mean, the best thing I think the Eagles can do is what we've seen them do. Those long, methodical
Drives.
drives, those 7, 8 minute drives that chew up clock and
Hmm.
chew up clock. And they've been really good. And we see that at least once a game that they do that. And they do come away with points. So that's their best bet, I think, in this game. And the key to victory is just continuous long, methodical drives. What's concerning for me is Smith is not practicing. He all of a sudden came up with a hamstring injury. They said he had a hamstring and thigh injury last week as well, but now it's like he's not even practicing. So I wonder if he even plays. If he doesn't play,
Yeah,
mm,
maybe that's why we picked up Julio Jones. Could that be a reason? Maybe the hamstring is a little more than we think it is, and they're not saying anything.
it's possible. Um, but I mean, Julio off the street. I mean,
Yeah.
he can only do so many routes, out routes, dig routes. You know what I mean? He's not going to know the tree. Well, he knows the tree, but he's just not going to know the plays. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he was talking big stuff. They asked him, "You got anything left?" He's like, "What? What do you mean, got anything left? You serious? You know what I mean? What kind of question is that? Of course, I got something left. I'm happy to be here, but I come here to dominate." I was like, "Oh shit! I don't remember hearing Julio talking like that."
No, he hasn't,
I
and he
mean,
hasn't shown
I know
no.
he was been around the block a little bit, but I don't remember hearing Julio talk about dominate and coming in
Mm,
here with that mentality. And there's some Bama guys out there too. Smith probably looks up to him. When was Julio? Julio's what, 3 years ahead of Smith? 4 years almost?
Oh, more than that.
More than that, right?
7 or 8 years ahead of him. Yeah.
Yeah. And that team was special, right? Julio. I'm trying to think who else was on that team. Thought it was another receiver on
Ju-
that team when Julio was in Bama.
Julio played with AJ McCarron, I think. And I think that was his quarterback.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. But I like the takes. I like the to kind of defend the other side of it. Go ahead, bro.
No, you're good. I don't know if
Oh,
I mean, for my Eagles, this is this is my probably biggest bet of the week.
Birds.
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 Bird gang.
There are some things that concern me a little bit. The fact we signed Josiah Scott, this was going to be a 10-unit play for me, but Josiah, like I just talked about, the reason the Dolphins could win, the fact we signed Josiah Scott to the active roster and not to the practice squad roster, that concerns me with Bradley Roby. That tells me that maybe Roby's not going to be able to go for a couple weeks, and they need somebody to help immediately for more than 1 week. And I just talked about that could be issue. So I do like your Waddle play. I think that helps. I think he's going to be tough to handle in the slot with Josiah Scott. That being said, I just think the Eagles, they want to pass, but occasionally when they get embarrassed, they go back to what they do best, and they are a more efficient running team than they are a more efficient passing team. And this is going to be the matchup that lends to the fact that you need to run and not pass. I do think even if Devontae Smith can't play, I think Julio Jones is a better blocker, much better blocker. So if we're going to go maybe some more 12 personnel, get Goddard and Stoll in there and reduce splits and get A.J. Brown and Julio Jones in there, I like our rushing attack a little better. Let's give Lane Johnson, if he's banged up, or let's give Jack Driscoll some help. And let's give 2 tight ends on each side of the tackles to make sure that Hurts has time. Let's run the ball. I'm looking at DeAndre Swift, 59.5 rushing yards. That's got to be over. If the Eagles are going to cover, DeAndre Swift's got to go over 60 yards rushing, no matter what. They got to stick to the run. In my opinion, DeAndre Swift's got to have – this has got to be like Tampa Bay. Gainwell's got to have 30 or 40 yards rushing. DeAndre Swift's got to have 80 or 90 yards rushing. Hurts has got to have 30 to 40 rushing. And you got to pick and choose your spots to go play action deep off that. This has got to be a max protect, shrink the game, use your home field advantage, limit the possessions Miami's got, and then use every pass rusher you got to get to Tua. I wouldn't worry so much about dropping into a shell. This would be a game I'd actually attack. You gotta come downhill against Tua. If you watch how the Bills beat the crap out of them, they did not sit back. They challenged the receivers at the line of scrimmage. They rerouted them, and then they attacked Tua. And Tua's a small quarterback. He's not tall. He can't stand tall. If a 6'6" Jordan Davis or if a 6'5" Fletcher Cox or if a 6'5" Jalen Carter is busting up the A gap or B gap, he can't move in order to beat our ends and break the pocket. We don't have to worry about that. And he can't step up. He's tiny. We got to make him retreat. He doesn't have a big arm. This is outdoors, into the wind. This has got to be a defensive line game. Like if we win, our defensive line's got to set us free, and I believe it's going to happen. I love the Eagles here, -2.5. This is just, you got to bet the Eagles. You got to take the Eagles here, and you got to take DeAndre Swift and trust the Eagles will run.
I like it. I agree with everything you said. Hopefully we get there. Hopefully especially from the run game, that we definitely get there as well. I'm always worried to take unders, but I'm looking at this Mostart and Hurts under. I mean, they're gonna try and run the ball, but I mean, who's been able to even get over 50 yards against us? Like one running back.
We just can't allow Mostert to get into the bus one into the seams, right? He's a home run hitter. Like he's kind of like the handicap I gave with the Travion Henderson for Ohio State. He's like 2 yards, 2 yards, 80 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, 60 yards. We just cannot let that 60-yard play happen on us, whether it's in the run game or the pass game. They hunt explosive plays in the run game as much as they do the passing game. They lead the NFL in explosive runs. It's not just passing.
Yeah, I'm looking back at all the running backs we faced, and the only one went over 50 yards was what's his name, Kerryon Williams, and he had 53.
Tough
Like
sledding to run the ball, man.
Yeah, it's tough sled run the ball against us. I mean, collectively, people have had over 50 yards, but I'm just saying one individual running back has not had 50 yards on us as of yet, and I don't think that's going to change this week. I would lean here to Mostart. You know what? Give me Mostart under 48.5 yards for half a unit.
Yeah. So my Swift play, just so we're clear, my Swift over 59.5 was 2 units, and my Eagles -2.5 is 5 units.